Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
We are speculating on Luke Skywalker's involvement in Episode 9. Will he cameo like Kenobi? Will he be heavily involved? Will he visit both Rey and Kylo Ren? Will he appear with Yoda, with Obi-Wan, others? Will his appearance go beyond the realm of what we've seen from Force Ghosts to this point? So let's get into it, guys. Luke Skywalker, we can all but certainly, in ink, say he will return. Mark Hamill is coming back in Episode 9. We'd be shocked if he didn't. So let's have this discussion as though he is coming back. Forget the speculative part of that. He is coming back, but in what capacity? Let's go.
Lacey, you want to kick it off?
Sure. So I think I've said this before. I believe in our Episode 9 pitches, or what we thought might happen in Episode 9. I think Luke will definitely be back. He'll be a Force ghost. I don't think he needs to go to Rey. I think she's proven that she doesn't need him as a teacher. It's basically said between Yoda and Luke in The Last Jedi that she has everything she needs. Nothing you can teach her will help her. She's on her own. So let's just get Rey out of the picture. She's on her own. She's a tough girl. She can handle herself. I think Kylo is the one that needs a little poking and prodding and guidance, and I think there's an interesting dynamic there that needs to be explored in 9 of Luke admitted his guilt in 8, but he needs to get Kylo to see that the path that he's on isn't the path he needs to continue to be on. And I think he's going to do that through snarky trolling. That's what I want, guys. I want snarky trolling Luke where he pops in and he's like, "You're wearing black again? Creative." You know, like that's what I want from Luke Skywalker. Yes, I want that. I think it would be funny. And I think that there's also a way that it could be definitely, motivational and meaningful for Luke. And I want him to appear with Yoda, and I really want him to appear with Kenobi, which would then make sense to have a Kenobi movie if Kenobi's in Episode 9. I'd love to see, the happy ending that we all want. We're all really angsty right now, like Kylo Ren. Like, we've been through the Empire Strikes Back of this series, and we're all feeling like, where's this going to go? So I really want Luke to help guide us into the ending of this saga, potentially, and tie up loose ends. And I think that he could be the way to do that, to be that thread. But yeah.
Okay, so James, Lacey has Luke being kind of goofy and
but then
snarky
motivational,
and smarmy.
But then motivational.
And then motivational to bring Ben Solo back. What's your angle here?
Yeah, I man, it's difficult. I think that, number one, I don't think that they're going to have him be... I think they want him to be more Luke Skywalker than Mark Hamill. And I know he was a little...
You're saying the snarkiness is Mark Hamill. Are you saying the snarkiness is Mark Hamill, not Luke Skywalker?
Yeah, and I do know that the Luke Skywalker in Episode 8 was a little bit of jokey sometimes with Rey when it came to like, oh, it's the Force, and he's touching her with the palm branch and stuff. I get that, but what you described, Lacey, to me, and I know you're just kind of like throwing out an example, but it sounds to me like a great College Humor or SNL skit. It's like you're wearing black again today, like that's funny, but it's like, but don't really. I get it. I laugh at it because I'm a Star Wars fan, but like, don't really do that in the movie,
Why not though? I'm curious to why, and this isn't like to combat your views. This is just me purely asking that one of the things I saw from a lot of people was that they didn't like the humor of Last Jedi. So my question is, why is the first thing for a lot of Star Wars fans to say is, oh, there's too much humor, it's not meant to be funny? Like, at the end of the day, this is a movie for kids. Yeah. So what would kids find funny in this tragic story than someone being like, oh, the tragic hero guy's wearing black? Oh, creative. Like, you always wear black.
There's not a problem with the humor, but I think and I don't want to get into like why Last Jedi was what it was, but I don't think the problem was the humor itself, because people like that humor in Marvel movies, but that's because Marvel's tone is that. And I think there's a lot of movies, like obviously Dumb and Dumber is great because the humor in that movie is the tone of that world. And that humor didn't exist in 4, 5, 6. It didn't exist in 1, 2, 3. There were those kinds of jokes. Even people saying like, don't choke on your aspirations. Like, it was just a little bit off from the tone of Darth Vader in what we were familiar with. So people are like, I didn't really like that joke. And it's like people say, but Darth Vader always said jokes. Yeah, but not those kinds of jokes, kind of thing.
Yeah, James, I'm kind of with you there, because it's like I'm picturing the hallway meeting between Obi-Wan and Vader in Episode 4, and Obi-Wan saying like, "Oh, black, it suits you," or like something like a weird like you say, like a Marvel jab, like
yeah, but
like,
Obi-Wan wasn't Vader's uncle.
Yeah,
that's
right.
a different dynamic.
You know, yeah, but I don't know that relationship is there now. Like, we went from Luke like saying like, "Strike me down in anger and I'll always be with you, just like your father," and he does it. He tests him and he does it, and then Luke says, "See you around, kid," very solemnly, disappears, dies, and now he's gonna come back and be like, "Hey, see, you're wearing black. Wow, really suits you, boy." Like, I don't know. I don't see that happening.
Okay, that is not the phrase. That's not how I phrased it, but okay.
Other than that, I think that I have gone on record too. I'm not a fan of Force ghosts, and I know that it makes sense in 4, 5, and 6, and now they are in 7, 8, and 9, and they're like, oh well, this lore exists and they got to make it work, and if Obi-Wan could come back and teach lessons, then why wouldn't Luke Skywalker? And I think a lot of times you just run into these problems. Like, I like it that Yoda came back, but this just sets a precedent for Luke to come back, and Luke's dead. Like, I don't like the idea of look, I'm just saying it this way, and this is the unpopular opinion. Like, if it were up to me and I could write a story and I don't feel like everybody would just hate my movie, I would not have a Force Ghost Luke. That story would be over for me, and I would write it about Rey.
But James,
Kylo
you know
Ren.
he's coming back.
I do know that. And so that's the thing is like, so then I have to kind of think like, if it were me and Disney was like, look, you can do whatever the heck you want, but Mark Hamill is in this movie, you make it happen, right? Yep. Then I put one scene in the movie where he shows up and he has a 1-to-1 with somebody. And it's just like the Obi-Wan scene from Return of the Jedi. He comes in, he talks to Luke, they have their thing, things are revealed.
Sits on a log.
He sits on a log. Like, that's the thing. It's like, but like I imagine it to be that's how they'll do it, because I definitely don't want to see a world where we have like Force Ghost warriors, because then it gets crazy. Now episode 9's done. We don't know when the heck the next episode 10's coming out, if they're ever going to do it. And for the next like 5 to 10 or 30 years, we're talking about, why didn't Ki-Adi-Mundi show up? You know, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Where was Mace Windu? Force Ghost Mace Windu. And I just like, I don't like that. The character's dead. He's gone. So this whole concept of Force Ghosts always drives me kind of nuts. What I do think is that they might do something that we've never seen before. And I think they're going to bring in some sort of understanding of like, oh, Force Ghosts aren't a thing anymore. We've learned how to just show up 100% in the flesh now.
Yeah, I know some. So I want to give my take here, but I know a lot of fans would love it if that happened. Obviously, fans who didn't like his ending in The Last Jedi. But I think I'm going to disagree with you, James, to an extent, where I think we're going to see a role from a Force Ghost we haven't seen before, but it's going to be a combination of things. So I think he's going to visit both Rey and Kylo Ren. I think he's going to visit Rey kind of like the Yoda in Return of the Jedi, where it's kind of that last push, like, you got this, kid, but you have to face him. You have to go confront Kylo Ren. And then he's going to appear to Kylo Ren, but in a Macbeth sort of way. Because I tie in Kylo Ren to Macbeth a lot, which was easily my favorite Shakespeare play, where he kills Snoke because he wants the power, just like Macbeth did, and now he's like tormented because he's still afraid, he's still fearful, he is guilt-ridden for what happened to Han Solo, and I think Luke's going to visit Kylo Ren as a voice like Obi-Wan visited Luke in A New Hope, where you don't see him sitting on a log or you don't see him manifesting glowing and on Hoth, but you hear his voice. And I think it's going to be towards the end of the movie. It's going to be kind of tormenting him in that sort of way. So instead of like, he does live up to his promise, I'll see you around, kid. If you strike me down, I'll always be with you. And he's like, I told you that, and you did it. And he's going to be in his head and make him go insane. So that's how I want to see him.
Do you guys think you're taking that phrase too literal? Like, if you strike me down, I'll always be with you. Oh, that means he's like a ghost and he's going to be haunting him. In the same way,
he says, but the last thing he says to him is, I'll see you around, kid. And that was not an accident.
Well, okay.
Yeah, he wouldn't say see you around if he wasn't going to show up again.
Right.
But remember, like if we were speculating, if episode 4 came out and we speculated on what's going to happen in episode 5, like strike me down and I shall become more powerful than you could ever imagine. And then we hear his voice. So he's still around and he's still alive. Is Obi-Wan going to show back up and be a more powerful Force user? That's what I like to see, because Obi-Wan was my favorite character. But he doesn't say see you around.
Right.
That's such a specific phrase. See you around.
I don't really think it's that specific. It's like how you say like hasta la vista, and then you're gone.
So James, what are you getting at?
See you
I
around.
guess is what I'm.
Well, because I think that when I hear this, like Luke's coming back, it always seems to be tied to haunting Kylo Ren and being this like annoying person that's following him around. And I'm like, where's that coming from? Where's that narrative coming from? And I think it's coming from...
I didn't say that.
Lacey said that, though. And a lot of other people that talk about Mark Hamill's involvement in episode 9 bring that up. That's what they want to see. And I'm like, where's it coming from?
It's a fair statement.
I know it is a fair statement, but I'm saying, where's the narrative of that statement? And I think it's coming from strike me down and I'll always be around, or whatever. And that phrase, it just pulls your brain to think, okay, so if he in fact does do this, then he's going to nag Kylo Ren. He's going to always be around.
Are you saying you don't think he's going to visit the last Skywalker?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I mean, I haven't really thought about it.
But you're combative against the idea, so you must be leaning towards no.
I'm combative against the idea that he's going to be a naggy Force ghost. I hate that.
I don't think he's going to be naggy.
I don't think he's going to be naggy the whole time, though. I could see him showing up for the first...
If my dead uncle showed up and was like, you're wearing black again, that's naggy.
Yeah, but listen, I don't think that's going to be the whole time, though, and I said that. I think we could see him in the first scene where he shows up. It could be Kylo Ren sitting on Snoke's chair with his head in his hands, and Luke shows up and says, did you get everything you've ever wanted? Is this it? Is this what you wanted? How does it feel? Like, that, to me, could be the same thing that in the next time he shows up in Kylo Ren's room or whatever, could then make the joke after he's already made that initial serious statement of, yep, I'm still here. Oh, look, you're wearing black. Fun. And then he can still be serious. Like, there's ways to go around it that it doesn't seem too comical, but yet jabs at Kylo in a way that's still funny for the viewer.
I don't know. I almost just feel like that story is there. Like, Luke's always going to be haunting him, quote unquote, like in spirit, as like a regret. But I think people are taking it too literal. Like, he's actually going to be there bothering the person. And that is, I don't feel like that's Star Wars-y. I feel like assume the lightsaber didn't get blown up and Kylo had it by the end of the movie. I say in episode 9, he picks up the lightsaber. He's haunted by the fact that he was bested by Luke Skywalker, and he breaks the lightsaber himself. So he did that in anger, and it caused Kylo Ren to be haunted by Luke Skywalker. If he strikes him down in anger, he'll always be with him. The regret, all that stuff. It's like a more, I don't know, like example, metaphor sort of thing.
I disagree.
You think he's actually going to come back?
Because he said, I'll see you around, kid. And honestly, dude, I'm not talking about this from a, jokey, like he's going to whatever him. I think it's going to be very serious and very psychological. Like I said, like Macbeth. Like, it's a very tragic tale, and that's exactly what Kylo Ren is. And it would make too much sense for him to interact with him for it not to happen.
Yeah, and he said in The Last Jedi, like, one of the biggest scenes of the movie is when he's sitting there with Yoda, and Yoda says the best way to teach someone is through failure. So he's going to spend episode 9 just showing Kylo Ren how he's continually failed. Again.
Yeah, and where Lacey and I disagree is I don't think he's pulling him back to the good side. I think he's going to torment him until he goes off the rails and eventually perishes.
So I don't think I still stand by that I don't think Luke will show up to Rey. I don't like either one of those stories. Right. So I still stand by that I don't think Luke will show up to Rey. But if he does, I could see him showing up to Rey in the sense that maybe she's letting her anger get the best of her. And he steps in and reminds her, like, remember to focus. Like, you know, you're stronger than this.
Yeah,
you're better than this. That is the only time I could see him stepping in is with her anger. Other than that, Homegirl's good. She's strong. She's bested Kylo like a couple times now. So I think there's no need for Luke to show up unless she gets to that brink where she's about to make that step to the dark side, which we've seen those chances where she's like baring her teeth and like screaming and stuff. So there is a chance, you know? Obviously, they're not going to do that in episode 9, but there might be that moment.
Okay, so Mark Hamill's coming back. We know this. And it doesn't make any sense that he would do anything in the movie other than show up to Rey or show up to Kylo. So I have to make a decision between the two. And if I had to make a decision, I think I lean towards Rey simply because, I've already obviously stated the other stuff that I haven't heard a narrative that I like. I'm still open to the idea of him being involved with Kylo. But most of the time, it feels like it's that naggy uncle, and I don't really like that narrative.
Read Macbeth.
Yeah, well, maybe. But in the coming to Rey, I think that we asked a question a while ago about Rey's aggression, and that could be another thing. Is like we tend to say like Rey's got it all figured out, but we unpacked that a little while ago with one of our user questions. That Rey doesn't have it all packed in. The last thing she's done was in anger, you know? She tends to deal with that a lot, and she's still obviously, like, she's aware of her parents' death, and she brought it up, but she still really hasn't dealt with it. So Luke coming in and talking to her about that in a she basically spent the whole time of Last Jedi being mad at Luke. Like, you need to do this, and she ran away, and Luke's like, oh man, she's right, I do need to do something. But then him coming back in 9, he could be like, that's great, you're right, but the Jedi do need to step up or whatever, you know, and have this conversation about, but you also need to be this. If you're going to lead the next generation of Jedi, she's not supposed to be the last Jedi, she's just supposed to be another Jedi. Luke's not the last one. So
right. But James, there's also one element we haven't thought about, and that is what if Luke has to come back because of Leia's death and Rey's broken up about that, and he comes back as like the reassuring presence or something. I
don't see a close enough connection between Rey and Leia for the.
Oh, I do. Absolutely.
Okay, well...
Leia chose to hug Rey instead of Chewbacca after Han Solo got murdered.
Yeah, and she gave her the binary beacon. They set that whole storyline up where she's like, I know where Rey is at all times.
Yeah, to light her way home.
And then she sits down with Rey at the end of the movie and has that talk where she's like, how are we going to do this? And she's like, we have everything we need. Like, right. That motherly figure. Yeah.
They didn't have a lot of scenes together, but every scene they had was like impact. High impact.
Okay, so... Are you guys trying to... Yeah, I mean, obviously you guys were very like, no, that's absolutely a possibility. I guess I never...
I'm just throwing the stuff against the wall, and I'm trying to see what sticks. You don't want Mark Hamill in episode 9 is what I'm gathering. You're done.
I think that I would be okay with that being the end of his story, and I don't like the idea of characters showing up after they're dead all the time. Because then in 30 years when Mark Hamill, you know, it can't be in a movie anymore, he's either passed or he's too old, like how are we going to explain Luke Skywalker? Like can't they just die? And then I don't know. Like why isn't he showing up again?
You know how artists on Twitter have those things that's like, "Hi, I'm so and so. These are my likes and dislikes." James would be books, Rebels, Qui-Gon Jinn, lore is his likes.
Oh my God,
and then his dislikes would be Force Ghosts, Mark Hamill in episode 9, Force Ghosts.
And people who don't like Chipotle.
Yeah. No, people who've never tried it.
You know, James, that is a good point.
People who don't like it too. Yeah.
Yeah. James, that is a good point though. Like, but you know, we saw Force Ghost Anakin and he hasn't come back, and I hope he doesn't come back.
Yeah,
but
I don't
maybe
want
it's
him
one
back.
of those things where you force Ghost until you feel like everything you don't serve a purpose anymore. Like Yoda had to come back because Luke was still all chippy and broken up. Maybe if they're at peace or whatever, they don't come back anymore. And you know, Anakin found his peace and he's done. Like Luke has unfinished business.
Are you saying these ghosts are being forced on you?
Jeez,
Stop with it.
What a dad joke.
No, I think that's the best thing that they can do is try to explain it away with that. And I mean, that's fine. I guess I understand it, but it just kind of means that characters have 2 deaths.
Right.
You know, and it's kind of
Coco, they
strange
have
to
2
me.
deaths.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Ghost with Patrick Swayze. Like he didn't get to go to heaven until he finished his unfinished business.
Unfinished business.
Yeah. And I feel like Luke has unfinished business with both of them, with The Last Skywalker and with Rey.
Luke really messed things up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's just one of those things where I know you're playing sort of devil's advocate, but also you're playing your interests here, James, but you know he's coming back and you know it's going to be more than just a brief Obi-Wan sitting on a log. I mean, that's just logic to me.
No.
I just think I really think it just has to be, especially after Carrie died.
Because you said that I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate, but I don't think he's going to be as heavily involved as people think he is.
So do you think it's just beginning a one quick like cameo scene type of thing?
My thing is with him coming back is we're all like, oh, he's definitely coming back. And the only reason we feel like he's definitely coming back is because there's a large group of the fandom that don't feel like he was done justice in Last Jedi. Like
that's not why I think.
Yeah, that's not what I think either.
Back.
Then why isn't Han Solo coming back?
Because Han Solo wasn't force sensitive.
I know, but
yeah.
My thing
okay,
is...
hear me
like
out.
Zombie Han Solo.
They were supposed to kill
Here's
off...
what's going to happen in episode 9.
They were supposed to kill off Han Solo in episode 7. They were supposed to kill off Luke in episode 8. They were supposed to kill off Carrie Fisher in Princess Leia in episode 9. Those
Dude,
were
he's coming back because he's Luke Skywalker. That's why he's coming back, period.
Hear me out.
Don't agree
Here's
with
what's
that.
going to happen in episode 9. There's going to be a huge battle and everyone's going crazy. And all of a sudden they're going to be on their last hope. And in flies this X-Wing. And they're going to go, who's flying it? And then it's going to be Ghost Luke. And he's going to say, Ghost Leader.
Yeah, exactly.
Ghost Leader.
Stay on target.
Yeah.
He's got like a ghost droid with him.
And he's flying with Wedge. With Wedge together. They
Wedge.
lead the battle. And then Lando's behind them flying the Falcon.
My thing is...
There you go, fanboys. There's your ending.
Ryan Johnson's writing his movie, and it's called The Last Jedi, and it's all about Luke, and he's really, really, really putting everything that he knows to end this character, and you really think he's saying, but I'm just really just like teeing it up, because he's Luke Skywalker. Of course he's going to come back as the Force Ghost for episode 9, but I'm going to let somebody else write that. You don't think Ryan Johnson was writing Luke Skywalker's end, period.
He was
full stop.
Dude, he did write his end.
That's what I'm saying.
As a physical being, his end. He filmed it. It was beautiful. It was magical.
But he also wrote, "We're never really gone."
But he's coming back because he told Ryan Johnson wrote. Ryan Johnson sitting there typing his script, dude. All right, ready, James? There's Ryan Johnson and his typewriter because he's old school and he's like a little bit of a hipster.
I believe
so
it.
He's like ding, ding, okay. They're on crate. He's face to face. What is he gonna say? Okay. Right.
We're never really gone.
See you around, kid. So then everyone knows that I know you're pissed at me because I killed Luke, but don't worry, he's coming back. See you around, kid. Ram, what do you think? I think it's pretty good, Ryan. Okay, see you around, kid. Ding.
Han calls him kid.
Print.
Reference.
Yeah, and then he faxes it over to Kathleen Kennedy, and her and Bob are like, hey, what do you think? See you around, kid? See you around, kid? Yeah, that sounds pretty hip. Print.
We'll bring
done.
Mark back.
Last Jedi. Luke's coming back. Ryan Johnson confirmed. Luke's coming back. Boom.
I know
ghost
you got a
leader
whole
flies
tangent,
in.
but I can't believe that. I can't disagree with that more. Like, I think absolutely.
I'm never eating burritos with you ever.
All of the phrasing, like, no one's ever really gone. All that stuff is supposed to, like, forget that Force ghosts exist. Like, that shouldn't matter to the story. This is Luke Skywalker being courageous and dealing with Han's death. No one's ever really gone. Yep. That's not a hint at Luke Skywalker coming back in 9. That's a testament to the spirit of Han Solo and how he lives forever in people's hearts. It's not a hint at Force ghosts. So no one's ever really gone. It doesn't tie into this "is he coming back in episode 9" thing. That's not Rian Johnson
that's
writing the story. Yeah. And the same thing with I'll see you around. It's almost like there's so many phrases that would have meant the exact same thing, but because it was that phrase, people are saying, well, he chose that phrase. And I was like, I don't think he's choosing that phrase. I think it was
"see you around, kid." That is a very specific phrase.
I don't
Solo
think it
says
is.
"kid" all the way through the original trilogy.
James, what did he need to say? Like, "I'll see you in 5 years in spirit paranormal form."
He could have, but you have to think this way,
because I don't think
James.
he plans to come back. I think he's saying
right. But listen, he could have ended that whole monologue with "strike me down and I'll always be with you." It could have ended there, but he kept going and then says, "see you around, kid," with that smirk on his face.
But people would have done the same thing if he said, "strike me down and I'll always be with you." People say, okay, and he did strike him down, so that means he will always be with him.
Not me.
Not me. See, "always be with you" to me means I'll always be with you in the sense of, like, I'm in the energy around you.
Yes.
"See you around, kid" is a very visual thing. See you around, kid.
Yeah, like, James, if you're dealing with somebody and they're like, "all right, I'll see you around, man." Like, I'm like, "oh, okay, I'll probably see him again."
You don't think, okay, get out of the Star Wars universe and there's like a whole other movie where this character knows that he has to die or he has to kill himself at the end of the movie, but it's a very courageous act and he's doing it for the right reasons and all this other stuff. He gets to this point and he's standing on the edge of the cliff and he has to jump off to save all of his people. He says something, he's like, "look, I don't know, peace out." And then he like jumps off. Like,
but Luke didn't say peace out.
He says, "see you around." It's just a phrase. It's just like I don't know, like, "cool, catch you later." What if he said that? "Catch you later, kid."
Okay,
and then he
first
jumps
of all, it's
off.
terrible writing.
Yeah, that's awful writing.
You're still not getting my point though. It's literally just a way to say, like, okay,
James
I'm leaving
is Kylo
now.
running right now.
See you around.
You let it go. Let it. You're still holding on.
Yeah.
Let go.
Yeah, it really is. I'm like, I think you guys are so latched onto, like, the way the word was written that it must mean that they were setting up for him to return. And I honestly think that if everybody loved The Last Jedi, we wouldn't even be talking about Mark Hamill. Oh, okay, there's more to it though, with Carrie Fisher dying as well.
But when the story was these reasons, and none of them are why I think this though. None of them.
I think we should tweet at Mark and Ryan and say, "Yo, when
I
you
love
wrote
The Last
and said,
Jedi.
see you around, kid," does that mean that?
Was that a hint?
Rian Johnson would be
Mark
like,
Hamill was
"What the hell do you think
coming
it
back
means,
for episode
you dummy?"
He'll be like, this tweet's been deleted.
Dude, Rian Johnson wrote that line to save his ass from real vitriol. Because if he didn't write that, then there was zero hope from anyone thinking Luke was coming back.
But he shouldn't come back. That was his end.
There's the
there
James
it is.
Baney. That's what
there
I
it
wanted
is.
to
It
hear.
took 20 minutes,
That's
but
what
there
we
it
were
is.
waiting to hear. There it is.
Say what? Because I said right from the beginning of this that I don't like Force Ghosts. I think it's a waste. And if I were writing my story, it would not have Force Ghost Luke in it. Wouldn't want him in the movie. But he has to, because everybody's 100% sure that he's coming back. So, and he probably is. But I think the reason he's coming back is because people didn't really like Last Jedi and Carrie Fisher passed away. So they're like, well, shoot,
Dude,
we need to.
All right, now we're back to this because J.J. Abrams started writing this movie 3 months before The Last Jedi came out. Are you trying to tell me that they waited 4 months after he started writing this script, a month before the script was finished, to hear people say that movie sucked, for him to be like, oh crap, I have to write the most popular character in the history of this franchise into my script? No chance. I mean, this became a Star Wars war, kind of.
Well, yeah, this was just my opinion, and I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to be so defensive, but I just didn't expect you guys to be so 100% stuck on that. Whereas, like,
Luke's
I
coming
really
back.
feel like your guys' whole arguments are based on like 2 words, like a sentence.
No, I think I presented
see ya around
well,
kid.
dude. I made an analogy for Macbeth for Shakespeare. So how dare you? How dare you, sir? Closing statements.
Yeah, I think my point is
Luke,
made. Yeah, I don't know what
I
else to
think
say.
Luke is absolute. I think I'll let everyone go around the table here. I think Luke is coming back. I think he's visiting both Rey and Kylo Ren. Ren more of in his head as a voice, not physically appearing in front of him. Rey more of a like Yoda kind of send her off. It was, we're all good. You and I are good. We'll always be good type of thing. And that'll be it. It won't be major, but he'll appear more than once and he'll visit both of them. Balance style. Closing statements?
I don't know. The only thing that I got is that I'll admit, I'm thrown by the JJ started writing this movie before Backlash to the Last Jedi, and my stance on that is that he wrote the story and he stuck with the story and he didn't change anything about the story because of the backlash. So it seems kind of like a conflict there. I'll have to work out how I feel about that, but we'll I don't know, maybe we'll bring it up in a future episode if I've since kind of come around and say like, okay, yeah, that doesn't really make sense. He surely changed the story or something.
Yeah, I think Luke's coming back. My boy Luke. And he's going to appear to Kylo, not to Rey. That's what I think.
Right on. And what do you guys think out there listening? Hopefully you were cool with our friendly combativeness here. You probably have your own takes on this stuff. We're all over the map on all different things, all different points of view here, different angles, different facets of this thing. So let us know
Ghost
in the
leader
comments.
reporting in.
And yeah, of course. That's the most likely situation.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a Scooby-Doo apparition just appearing. And then Freddie Prinze Jr. dressed as Fred from Scooby-Doo is going to come and pull off the curtain. And it's going to be Mark Hamill as a ghost. But yeah, guys, let us know on Twitter and the comments, on YouTube, everywhere, what you guys think Luke's involvement is going to be in episode 9, because we love hearing from you. And that wraps up the discussion.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching that video, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and head over to the full episode by clicking this box here. If you want, you can subscribe, and that way you get all the weekly news, you get our discussions, you get information on our giveaways whenever we do them. It's a good time, we promise. Thanks for watching the Resistance broadcast.